Are you tired of the cosmic joke? The endless, frustrating cycle of meeting people who feel right, only to realize you're just replaying the same painful story with a different face? What if I told you that this agonizing pattern isn't a curse, but a labyrinth of your own soul that you were never given the map to navigate? The master psychoanalyst Carl Jung saw this map. He didn't see destiny as a straight line, but as a secret geometry of encounters designed to lead you to wholeness. In this video, I will hand you Jung's secret key. We are going to unlock how to recognize, on a soul level, the person who is truly made for you. I'm not talking about fleeting chemistry or pretty coincidences. I'm talking about an encounter that reveals the deepest parts of your psyche. An encounter that doesn't just flatter you, it lays you bare and finally sets you free. Before we unlock this door, I have a quick request. A huge percentage of you who find life-changing value in these videos are not yet subscribed. If this is already striking a chord deep within you, take 1 second to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the truths that are coming your way. And while you're at it, press the like button to signal to the universe and the algorithm that this knowledge needs to reach others who are still lost in the dark. In fact, to see just how far these profound teachings can travel, comment below with what part of the world you're watching from. Let's see how far Jung's wisdom can reach together. Now, let's return to that locked room inside of you. Tonight we open it. There is no music, no lights, just the beat of your breath and the question that has haunted you for a lifetime. How do you finally recognize someone who is made for you? Stay with me, because what is coming will fundamentally change the way you understand love, destiny, and yourself. One of the first signs that someone is made for you is uncomfortable to accept. It doesn't exactly fit your fantasy. It's not the checklist your mind built to feel safe. It's something else. A presence that slows your impulse to conquer or to escape. It's a different rhythm in the body. It doesn't speed up to seduce you. It decompresses the time around you. You realize that with that person, you breathe better or worse. And both paths, curiously, can be a sign. If you breathe better, it's your nervous system saying, "Here is home." If you breathe worse, it's your shadow saying, "Here is material." And that's where the danger and the opportunity begin. Because at first, you almost never meet the other person. You meet your projection. The other becomes a canvas where you paint what you most long for or what you most fear. Jung saw it clearly. We see the anima or the animus, that inner figure of the feminine or masculine that inhabits us, in the person who attracts us, and for a while we stop seeing the real person. So how do you differentiate projection from authentic presence? Observe what happens after the first wave. With someone made for you, the projection isn't destroyed with violence. It dissolves with clarity. You begin to notice nuances that weren't in your ideal. What was perfect becomes human. What was a flaw transforms into texture. Transparency rises. Idealization falls. And far from being disillusioned, you feel more alive. If this truth is opening a new space in your mind, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because recognizing a projection in time is saving yourself from repeating an old prison. Let's talk about the shadow. That part of you that you preferred not to see in order to belong. Someone made for you doesn't humiliate you with your shadow. They illuminate it without destroying it. Made for you doesn't mean made to flatter you. It means made for your individuation, which is the Jungian word for the process of becoming who you truly are. How does that feel in a concrete way? Imagine an argument. You entrench yourself in reason. The other listens to you in silence, and when you talk too much, they tenderly name the mechanism you are using. I notice you're justifying everything so you don't feel vulnerable right now. The comment pierces your armor. It burns. And yet there's something in their gaze that isn't judgment. It's temperance. In that instant, you have two options. Flee or hold the discomfort and cross the threshold. Someone made for you doesn't force you to cross it, but they also don't accompany you in walking away from the door. They wait for you, and that waiting, which smells of respect and challenge, is one of the marks of a true encounter. Now don't confuse intensity with destiny. The unconscious loves the shortcuts of repetition. The complex is, those emotionally charged nets forged in your childhood tend to feel familiar. And what is familiar is not always what is healthy. You're attracted to someone who ignores you like an absent father ignored you. You're magnetized by someone who controls you like a fearful mother did. That electricity can deceive you. Neurotic destiny dresses up as inevitable love. What's the difference when someone is made for you? The pattern doesn't close in a circle. It opens into a spiral. Yes, at first it touches the wound, but immediately after, a new possibility appears. You can say what you never said. You can ask for what you never asked for. You can set a boundary that used to terrify you, and the other person doesn't punish you for it. They don't blackmail you with their withdrawal. They look at you with a thank you for showing yourself. It seems small, but it's radical. There is no repetition there. There is openness. And when openness is sustained over time, the story changes. And with it, your destiny. Note this sign with slow ink. In the presence of that person, your sense of identity doesn't shrink to fit in, nor does it inflate to impress. It settles. You feel you don't need to play at being more brilliant or apologize for existing. You can be silent without guilt and laugh without permission. You can show your quirks like someone offering a seed, not like someone begging for approval. And even if you make a mistake, something in the common space remains intact. It's an invisible, subtle field where two presences don't devour each other. They nourish each other. Jung would say that the self is felt summoning there. I'll tell you in another way. It feels like life is interested in you two as if you were a sacred experiment. And when life gets interested, things start to happen that don't fit into statistics. Synchronicity. That word that sounds mystical and yet is not cheap magic. It is the way the collective unconscious snaps its fingers to remind you that you are walking on a line with meaning. When someone is made for you, coincidences appear that speak to you. Not one or two, but a sequence that draws a constellation. A book you were both reading without knowing it. A dream in which you appeared days apart, knocking on the same door. A song she hums that he had associated with his childhood on the same day. You could say it's chance. And yes, maybe it is, but pay attention to what those coincidences move in you. If it's not a superstition that closes you off, but a curiosity that opens you up, you are on to a clue. Synchronicity is not a command, it's an invitation. And the way you respond to that invitation reveals the degree of freedom you have already
conquered. Freedom is put to the test when the other stops being a symbol and becomes a world. I propose an image to you, two fires. The fire that consumes and the fire that cooks. The first is spectacular. It crackles, hypnotizes, but it doesn't feed you. It leaves you empty once the shine fades. The second is less ostentatious. It is patience. It is a brazier. It is heat that transforms the raw into food. Someone made for you lights the fire that cooks. It makes you more nourishing for your
own life. How do you notice it? Because when your encounters end, you don't feel an emotional hangover or the impulse to review everything to find out what it means. You feel like creating, tidying your space, taking care of your body, calling a friend, doing what you've been putting off. Their presence grounds you in reality, and when love reconciles you with reality, it doesn't take you away from poetry. It returns you to the poetry of the everyday. Let's return to the subtle, anima and animus. When you project your anima, you see in her the muse that will save your creative life. When you project your animus, you see in him the direction you were lacking. But over time, if the encounter is true, a silent miracle occurs. That which you see outside becomes integrated inside. You no longer need the other to inspire you to write. Their company is enough for you to reconcile with your own voice. You no longer require the other to tell you what to do. Their presence organizes your internal chaos, not because it indoctrinates you, but because it embodies a quality that awakens its counterpart in you. That inner awakening is a very clear signature, and if it happens to you, write it down. What you were looking for in the other was always there, waiting for your decision to take it as your own. I will speak to you now of the archetypes that, without knowing it, you summon when you love. The lover, the warrior, the magician, the king, or the queen. In their immature version, these archetypes drag you down. The lover seeks fusion and forgets the world. The warrior fights to be right. The magician manipulates. The king demands tribute to his insecurity. But in their mature version, they become the pillars of a living relationship. With someone made for you, the lover celebrates mystery without needing to get lost. The warrior protects the common boundaries. The magician transforms conflict into learning. The king or queen organizes the kingdom so that both can flourish. Do you find that with that person you become more just, more creative, more courageous, more careful? It's not a coincidence. It's that the right encounter summons your internal gods in their luminous form. And when that happens, the way you handle storms changes. Storms are inevitable. What's essential is how they are navigated. With someone made for you, discussions don't become a black hole. They become a forge. There's a simple phrase that is no longer scary to say, "I don't know." And another that dances nearby, "I need time." In a neurotic relationship, these phrases are triggers for abandonment. In a relationship made for your destiny, they become dance steps. The other allows you to be confused without taking advantage of your confusion. They allow you to be slow without punishing you with impatience. And you do the same. What seems small opens portals. Shared patience is the fertilizer for trust, and trust is the soil where love matures without rotting. If you are still here, it means you are not like the others and you are ready to go further. Let me now touch on the rhythm of the body. Your unconscious speaks with pulses, contractions, openings. With a person made for you, your system doesn't live in constant alert. Yes, there will be moments of activation. We are not machines, but the baseline is one of safety. You discover it in small details. The tone of voice softens when difficult topics are named. The hands stop clenching. The jaw loosens. Sleep returns. Instead of a compulsion to check the phone, there appears the certainty that what is important is not played out in anxiety. The breath doesn't rise to the chest to survive. It descends to the belly to inhabit. And when the body inhabits, the soul dares to stay. That staying is another mark. You can plan for the future without feeling like you are betraying yourself in the present. Let's talk about dreams, those messengers that know nothing of clocks. When you meet someone made for you, dreams are not always sweet. Sometimes they are unsettling, but they have a different quality. Instead of untranslatable chaos, they bring images that repeat with a symbolic logic you can follow. A house with a closed room that you suddenly find open. An animal that used to attack you now sits by your side. A bridge you finally cross. The dream doesn't ask you rhetorical questions. It gives you keys, and when you wake up, you feel that something has settled. You didn't escape the labyrinth. You learned its map. That is a more reliable indicator than the fantasy of, "I dreamed of you, and therefore you are my destiny." The psyche orders itself, and order brings a peace that doesn't depend on the other, but on your decision to move toward wholeness. I don't want to deceive you. The psyche also knows how to lie, which is why you need living proof. I propose 7 concrete experiments to recognize if that person is made, not to please you, but for your process. First, share a story of shame and watch the reaction. If they minimize it with jokes or give you premature advice, note the haste. If they listen to you, name your courage and ask what you need now. Note the care. A relationship made for you makes shame habitable. Second, design a small plan together that requires coordination. A meal, an outing, a small journey. Observe how they handle the unexpected. Do they blame, evade, play the victim, or propose solutions? Take responsibility. Laugh with you about what you can't control. The plan is a mirror of their king or queen archetype in daily life. Third, face a small physical stress together. Walking in the rain, carrying something heavy, getting a little lost. Stress reveals the warrior. The one made for you doesn't abandon you to save their comfort, nor control you to feel powerful. They walk at your pace, care without invading. They look at the horizon with calm. Fourth, create something together for the pure pleasure of creating. Cook, write, improvise a song. Observe if the creation is poisoned by the demand to make it perfect, or if it floats with the permission to make mistakes. The healthy magician doesn't turn you into an object of their spell. They play with you and honor what emerges. Fifth, share silence. Half an hour with no music, no screens, no talking, just being. If the silence becomes unbearable and they need to fill it with stimuli, they may be fleeing from themselves. If the silence becomes a cradle, you are in front of a heart that knows how to hold emptiness, and that, in life, is almost everything. Sixth, introduce your external worlds. Friends, spaces, routines. People made for you don't try to isolate you. They expand your sense of belonging. If their presence reduces your other connections, be careful. Love doesn't need to turn you into a satellite. Seventh, talk about values, not tastes. Anyone can like the same music. Someone who has done inner work shares a vision of life. What do they understand by loyalty? What do they think of the truth when it hurts? How do they manage power, money, time? It doesn't matter if the answers aren't identical. What matters is if they are compatible. The compatibility of values is the bridge that prevents two islands from becoming two walls. If this is resonating in the deepest part of you, stay, because what's coming may change the way you understand yourself. We are about to enter the zone where 80% of a relationship's destiny is decided. The inaugural conflict. That first serious conflict has a flavor that is not forgotten, not for its drama, but for its grammar. How is forgiveness asked for? How are repairs made? The person made for you asks for forgiveness for the impact, not just for the intention. They don't defend themselves with, "It wasn't my intention to hurt you." They are interested in how they hurt you. They bring concrete actions to restore the fabric, and you, by their side, do the same. You learn to distinguish guilt from responsibility. You train yourselves not to win. You train yourselves to preserve the bond. The mini cliffhanger here is simple. If you can get through the first conflict without dismantling dignity, the relationship has just obtained its license to grow. Now you might be asking, what if I get my hopes up again? I invite you to a reframe. It's not about never getting your hopes up, but about learning to distinguish between illusion and a glimpse. Illusion puts you on a pedestal and lets you fall. A glimpse shows you a possible image of the relationship if you both take care of it. How do you distinguish them? Illusion demands, a glimpse inspires. Illusion accelerates, a glimpse orders. Illusion needs guarantees. A glimpse invites you to become someone who can honor what they saw. If, upon meeting that person, you feel like becoming a more honest version of yourself, you are seeing a glimpse. If you feel like playing a role so as not to lose them, you are setting up an illusion. And you already know how much it costs to maintain a mask. Family patterns will come to visit you. The mother or father complex, the need to rescue, to be rescued, to be admired, not to bother, will raise its hand. There you will notice another subtle indicator. With someone made for you, you can talk about your patterns without turning them into an excuse. You can say, when you leave without saying goodbye, my abandonment wound gets activated, and I find it hard not to become cold to protect myself. And from the other side comes something that breaks the cycle. Thank you for telling me. What could we agree on to make that moment less lonely for you? There is no magic. There are agreements. Love is not an anti-contract. Love writes living contracts with pencil and eraser. And every time you agree and follow through, the psyche learns that this time is different. There are symbols that carry an ancient whisper. Keys, bridges, rings, water. If you are attentive, you will see how life begins to use these symbols when the encounter is fertile. A key on the ground the day you decide to talk seriously. A bridge you cross to watch the sunrise. An inherited ring that appears in a forgotten box. A river you return to without planning. Don't turn the symbol into a superstition. Turn it into a reminder. Ask yourself, what door am I opening? What margin am I crossing? What pact do I want to say yes to, and which one not yet? The symbol doesn't decide for you. It returns to you. The responsibility of naming your desire. I speak to you from a place of calm and from a human experience that repeats itself with different faces. The right love doesn't avoid loneliness. It makes it fertile. It doesn't eliminate fear. It turns it into a compass. It doesn't erase your history, it integrates it. So you will recognize someone made for you when they help you to dialogue with your ghosts instead of expelling them. When their presence doesn't annul you or overexcite you, but rather tunes you, like tuning an instrument, raising it a little here, lowering it a little there, until your sound is yours, but cleaner. If this truth is opening a new space in your mind, share it with someone who needs to hear it. It could save them years of confusing intensity with love. And now, a loving warning. There are imposters of destiny. The one who is too perfect and admits no questions. The one who is too spiritual and doesn't touch the ground. The one who is too available and has no life of their own. Flawless perfection betrays a fear of reality. Someone made for you inevitably brings contradictions. Light and shadow, temperance and passion, laughter and gravity. They don't offer you a waterproof fantasy. They offer you a breathable truth. And in that truth, you will both get your hands dirty. If touching the clay disgusts you, perhaps you are not loving. Perhaps you are healing your narcissism. Love as a Jungian path is for those who can tolerate the mud of the soul. And if you are still here, I sense you are one of them. At the heart of what I'm telling you is a silent principle, the invisible third. It's not you or the other person. It's what's in the middle, what you care for together. It could be a project, a weekly ritual, a garden, a shared practice, even the devotion of sitting down to talk when something goes wrong. That invisible third is the vessel. Without a vessel, the fire burns. With a vessel, the fire cooks. If with that person the desire to care for, the third is born naturally, not just our thing, but that which transcends us, you are very close to the right frequency. And when I say made for you, I don't mean destined by decree. I mean the encounter your soul chose in order to grow. Allow me to give you a small ritual of recognition. One night invite silence. 4 candles. Each of you lights one and says, without adornment, 4 truths. This is what I love about you. This is what scares me with you. This is what I need in order to stay. This is what I commit to giving. Speak little and feel much. When the 4 candles are lit, look at the central flame that is born from the group and ask yourselves in a low voice, what wants to become us? It's not an esoteric phrase. It's a way of listening to the invisible third. In the end, blow out the candles together. What remains, that smell, that small darkness, that warmth in your hands, will be a symbolic anchor you can invoke in troubled times. And when the storm comes, as it always does, remember what you have already inhabited, the shared truth. I know that at some point on this journey the temptation will be to ask, what if I lose them? That fear is not an enemy, it is a guardian. It asks you if what you want is to possess or to deserve. With someone made for you, possession loses its meaning, and deserved presence gains ground, because the bond is sustained more by the quality of who you are when you are together than by the quantity of promises you make. And when you realize this, something relaxes. You can love without clenching. You can let go without abandoning. You can stay without becoming small. There is one last, very discreet sign that sometimes goes unnoticed. You become more truthful, not just with the other, but with life. You stop playing little tricks. You stop promising what you won't deliver. You stop staying where you are, no longer growing. Someone made for you is not a lock that closes. It is a key that opens. And if a key opens, doors that you didn't know existed before, it might be wise to look at its owner with respect and with care. Because respect without care becomes fear, but care without respect becomes condescension. You need both. Your soul knows it. I want to close this section with something very simple that, nevertheless, takes a lifetime. If you only fall in love when you feel you can't live without that person, you are in love with your lack. If you can live without them, but you choose to live with them, because together life expands, you are loving from abundance. Love from abundance recognizes what the unconscious asks for and offers it with dignity. Love from lack demands what the unconscious fears and collects it with interest. You decide which bridge you cross. If this is resonating in the deepest part of you, stay. because what's coming may change the way you understand yourself. Don't look for signs to avoid deciding. Decide, and the signs will make sense. Undertake small acts of individuation every day. Stop saying yes when it's no. Return what doesn't belong to you. Ask for what you need without asking for permission to need it. If the person near you supports these acts without trying to change them for your more comfortable version, it's likely you are in front of someone made for you. And if they don't support it, don't betray yourself to keep what is proving not to be good for you. Do you see why this topic is not exhausted in pretty phrases? It is deep, because it touches the very bone of life. In the end, someone made for you is someone with whom you can confront yourself without losing tenderness, with whom you can laugh in the midst of disagreement, with whom the world doesn't become smaller, but wider, with whom the divine is not up there, but here, on the table, in the cup, in the invisible gesture on Tuesdays, with whom your shadow learns to work, your anima or animus relaxes, because they no longer need to dramatize to be heard, and the self, that total instance that inhabits you, breathes and expands as if there were finally space. Perhaps you were hoping for an infallible detector, a checklist. I give you instead a riverbed so you can learn to read the current, the quiet curiosity, the brave tenderness, the shared responsibility, the vessel of the invisible third, the integration of projections, the peace that follows the encounter, not the hangover. If you recognize this landscape, don't sabotage it. Walk slowly. Allow time to do its alchemy. And yes, let life surprise you. When the unconscious and consciousness shake hands, the world becomes more habitable. Now breathe with me. Bring one hand to your chest and the other to your belly. Think of that person. Ask yourself without fear, does this presence make me more true? Does it lead me to care for what I love, starting with myself? Does it invite us to build a vessel where our fires can cook? If the answer is yes, you are seeing a truth that is rarely spoken aloud because it makes the rational mind uncomfortable. There are encounters that are the work of the deep psyche as much as of the will, and when they happen, the world is not illuminated with artificial flashes. It is lit from within with a fire that, if you tend to it, is not extinguished by the wind. If you are still here, it is because you are not like the others. You didn't click away seeking a simple trick. You stayed because your soul is demanding a profound truth. You now possess the ultimate reframe, a spiritual key that most will never find. You are not hunting for the right person as a prize you are owed. You are now equipped for the right process, the sacred alchemical journey that begins when two people decide to courageously hold up the mirror to one another. The search is over. The real work has begun. Now, to make this transformation permanent, I want you to perform a small but powerful act. Go to the comments right now and declare the one symbol from our journey that is accompanying you today. Is it a key? A bridge? An animal from a dream? Type it below. This is more than a comment. It's an anchor for your new reality, an act of commitment to your own soul's path. As you do that, press the like button to help this vital wisdom find others who are still lost in the dark. And finally, a staggering number of people who experience these breakthroughs are watching without subscribing. Do not let this be a fleeting moment of clarity. This path has many more secrets to unlock. Hit that subscribe button now and join a community that chooses to go deeper. Share this video only with that person you intuit life is creating an experiment with, because now you know the truth that will carry you forward. The person made for you doesn't make you whole. They turn you into a person made for yourself, and from that sacred territory, it's impossible to get lost. You can only find each other, again and again, in the undeniable power of the real.